Growing your own fruit in your garden is one of the most fulfilling, satisfying and incredibly cost-saving things to do. A mini orchard collection containing apple, pear and plum will produce you dozens and dozens and dozens of pounds of apples each and every year, and of course the productive life of fruit trees will go on for decades, as many as 30, 40 or even 50 years into the future. So start planting this year, start cropping next year and look forward to decades of delicious homegrown fruit. Now, Braeburn apple is without question the UK's most popular and most asked for eating apple. And the reason for that is the flavour, the crispness, the texture and that blend of sharp and sweet juiciness that you find within each and every fruit is unsurpassable. It's a beautiful apple to eat. You can eat it straight from the tree. You can eat it having stored it in a cool place for 3 or 4 months. And best of all, you can even cook with it. Now, Pear Conference has a sublime, juicy sweetness too. And in fact, I just love picking a fresh Conference pear when it's just reaching the point of softness, and then you bite into it. The juice will just drip off your chin and it is an absolute delight to eat. In fact, it's so sweet, so sugary and so delicious. For me, it beats a chocolate bar any day of the week. They're easy to grow, they're so productive, and by goodness, they're delicious. Now, if you're thinking about plum trees, is there any other than Victoria? Now, Victoria is the plum variety that if you asked 100 experienced gardeners, that would be the variety they recommend. In a good summer, around about July, a Victoria plum tree could carry as much as 40 or even 50 pounds in weight. And of course, those fruits are delicious, eaten from the tree, made into jam, into pies. You name it, you can do it. They're so delicious, they're so tasty, and of course, they're really good for you too. When you get your fruit trees, it's up to you how you grow them. You've got 2 choices. Now, my preference is always to plant them in the ground, because that way they can really make the most of the available nutrients. They can get their roots going into that soil. And best of all, once they're planted for life, and the maintenance is at the absolute minimum. When you plant a fruit tree, preparation is everything. Take out a good sized planting hole and fork over or dig over the base of the planting hole before you put the tree in. Test it for size, check the depth, but make sure the grafting point is above soil level. Pop in the soil, consolidate it down by stamping on it so that it really is firm around the tree, and then add some fertiliser. A good handful of blood, fish and bone or bone meal is perfect. Finally, top it off, firm it again. Once you've done that, of course, double check the height, make sure it's all right, give it a good water in, and then your tree will start to burst into growth. Now, the alternative to planting your fruit trees in the soil is, of course, to grow them in pots. When you get your fruit trees home, of course, unpackage them carefully and give them a really good soak in a bucket of water. Even overnight would be fine, because it really softens those roots, gets them fully hydrated and gets them ready to be planted. Just regular water is perfect. If you've got tepid water, that's even better. Once they've had a good soak, of course, you're ready to get them planted. Now, if you're going to plant them in pots, perhaps you don't have space in your beds and borders, or you don't even have a garden, you can use a pot. Now, use good quality compost, really give a good top dressing of blood, fish and bone, because it gets those nutrients in there, and then position your tree, making sure the roots are well covered, but the grafting point is well above the surface of the compost level. Keep the tree upright, keep it vertical and keep it central. Add more compost, and of course, as you're doing that, consolidate the compost down so it's nice and firm. You can see that there's around about 1 centimetre below the bottom of the pot there, which allows, when you water it, any water to stay in the pot rather than run over the edge. Always make sure the tree is planted so the grafting point is nicely above the compost. I really do hope you plant some fruit trees, you grow them, and you succeed with bumper crops of fruit for years. I've got numerous fruit trees in my garden. I absolutely love the process of looking after them, nurturing them, and best of all, picking that delicious, healthy, nutritious fruit at the right time. And of course, getting it in the kitchen, getting it in the fruit bowl, and eating it with absolute pleasure, knowing you've produced it yourself.